Like, they're just so carefree and free-spirited, and they don't give a fuck. It's what I love.
All right, so to kick off. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to 180 Media Academy. Thank you all for joining. Hope you're comfy at home. It's quite rainy here in Porto at the moment. I mean, not at the moment, but today was quite a terrible day. Welcome to 180 Media Academy. We're here with Sean Dunne today. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Just to give you guys a bit more context as well, 180 Media Academy is a program where we bring together creative professionals from various media sectors to share knowledge and ideas about their practice, how they think, how they work, and also a bit about the industry that they belong to, and also how they see the world around them. This is our first talk of the program. We're also going to have two more over the next couple of days. And today we've got Sean Dunne here with us. Sean is an American documentary filmmaker who is known for his extensive work in making documentaries about subcultures and communities that exist on the margins of American society. His films are also well known for being shot in this very empathetic and raw lens, with the goal of revealing the dignity, humor, beauty, and the truth of people living on the edges of society. Some of his best-known films are American Juggalo, Oxyana, Florida Man, Girlz, which have earned him several awards, including Best Documentary Film and Best New Documentary Director at Tribeca, and also the Vanguard Award at the San Francisco Doc Fest, and among many others. Actually, at Canal 180, we've been following Sean for many years now, I think ever since he released American Juggalo back in 2011. And today we're going to be talking about a few of Sean's films that he made throughout these years, and hopefully getting to know more about how they were made and what Sean has learned from these, I think, almost more than 15 years of documenting these communities. So Sean, thank you so much again for taking the time to join us. How are you doing? Where are you right now?
I'm in the Hudson Valley, New York, just about an hour north of New York City. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Love you guys.
Man, thank you so much for joining us. I think we also had a screening this last Saturday of your latest film, Wild Magic, which you premiered this year. It was a really thought-provoking documentary and very sweet and very empathetic, but also quite grounded as well in a way. It was kind of a film that lost itself in the magic, but also was very grounded at the same time, and it was very interesting because of it, I think. But yeah, I think getting on to today's talk, Sean, I just want to maybe start like, how did you start off making documentaries? How did you kind of go into this path at the time?
Yeah, it's something I think that I had in my heart that I wanted to do from when I was like 15, 16 years old. I wanted to be a filmmaker, but I didn't really know about good documentaries, and I started to find those in like late high school and throughout college. Filmmakers like Ross McElwee and the Maysles brothers and Errol Morris and Les Blank, and just really inspired me that you could make documentaries that feel more than a vehicle for information, and something with real heart and something that could be art and cinema. So yeah, I always had it in mind that I wanted to do that, but I don't like come from money, which a lot of people that make films kind of like that's a prerequisite a lot of the time. At least it was when I was starting out. So I was out there in the workforce, and I was working at History Channel, and they used to give me a lot of opportunities to interview people, and I kind of developed my skills on their watch at History Channel, and the first film I went to make, History Channel sent me to Pittsburgh to do a promo for a show that got canceled pretty quick. And while I was there, I made a little short 7-minute documentary about the guy with the world's largest record collection. And that was my first film, The Archive. And it's a 7-minute documentary I put out on a new platform called Vimeo at the time. And it kind of went viral, and it got into Sundance, and it got nominated for an Emmy. And I said, I mean, this is what I love doing. I just want to keep getting better and better at it and practice this craft throughout my life. Kind of like Frederick Weissman, when I look at his filmography, like he went into his 90s, so many films, you see his DVDs stacked next to each other. And I said, that's a life right there. That's like a life of seeking and staying curious. So yeah, that first film and the success of it helped me kind of like carve out an idea for a path I wanted to take. And I said, okay, let me just try to make one per year. And sometimes they're big ones and sometimes they're small ones. and sometimes I can make more than that, but they've all been pretty much self-financed.
Yeah,
So
that's one of the really interesting things about you as well is that you were able to crowdfund. I think a lot of your films, or maybe all of them, probably. And I think it's something that we're also going to talk a bit about later too. So I think following the archive, I don't know if American Juggalo was kind of the first thing you did after that one, or what was kind of the path to this film.
I did the archive, and then I did a short one called Man in Van about a homeless guy, and then I did one called The Bowler about a guy who hustles bowling and like gambles on it. That's one of my favorite things I've done. Then I did one called Stray Dog about a country musician named Johnny Fritz, and then while we were making Stray Dog, I came up with the idea for American Juggalo
So
and kind of told the crew. It was the same crew that I brought on American Juggalo. They were like, "What are we going to do next?" And I said, "We're going to do American Juggalo." And they were like, "What is that?" And I was kind of like, I don't really know. We're going to go to the gathering and we're going to do something kind of like heavy metal parking lots." I don't know if anyone's seen that one from the mid 80s. Great little video documentary from a Judas Priest concert. And I was like, what if we went and did like a really stylized cinematic version of that? And yeah, like a lot of these projects, the title for that one came before the vision for what it could be. A lot of my films go that way. I almost have to reverse engineer them based on a title that I like.
that makes a lot of sense too. They're very self-descriptive as well, which is cool. So you kind of
Yeah.
what you see is kind of what you get in a way too. I wanted to
Yeah.
also take the chance to like just quickly run the trailer for this film, so that people can also get a bit of a sense. And actually, like I was telling you before, this isn't even like the official trailer. This is actually like a promo that we at Canal 180 did back in 2011 when we first broadcast this film on TV. It was a very like thought-provoking documentary at the time, and we really wanted to run it too. So just to give everybody a sense, I'm just gonna run the trailer here.
It's about true, straight, fucking trustworthy ninjahood right here, man. It's about true passion for the music, for the love, for the family, for everyone here. Just united, you know. I am a juggalo. I'm an American juggalo. Whoa, whoa.
There's something I wanted to ask you as well about American Juggalo in specific, which is that there's this balance between I think in the community of juggalos between this pride and the way that they kind of represent themselves as being proud juggalos, but also at the same time there's a sense of decadence as well that's kind of punctuated throughout the film. And how did you kind of try to balance these two things in this doc in specific?
I just like to go back with like so many options that I can easily essentialize, whether it's an individual or a group, in this case, a group. And I went back with so many options. And I feel like when you're making a film like this, for me, out in the field, when I start hearing like a lot of their stories overlap or certain turns of phrase or words and specifically, I know that I have enough stuff to work with back in the edit to essentialize them and get them across. So, you could see even in that trailer, like every person I talked to said whoop whoop. So that was like their rallying cry. So I'm like, while I'm out there in the field, I'm getting this stuff. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a sick montage of just all the clowns saying whoop whoop, and like, where are we gonna put that? And then like we're collecting all this slow motion footage, and I felt like what was the beautiful balance is like we have this intro which is like it's slow motion. Like I was thinking like this should feel like National Geographic, like just like this slow motion beautiful montage of just kind of like, let's get the spirit of juggalos across and all the aesthetic things that you're going to see play out in the movie. And then once the movie kind of slows down and we start hearing their voices, we get to play around and we get to see what they're like. And I think there's a lot more depth there than people would expect. I think that's why people loved this movie, is because there's maybe we're used to it now, but there's an unexpected element to realizing there's some substance behind people that dress like this and act like this. And there's not only a ton of stuff, but there's not only substance there, but there's a lot of it. And there's something to really be said about the way that these people have chosen to live in the face of what America does to you. So they inspired us deeply, deeply. We realized the second we went in there and started talking to them that we were juggalos. You know, we might not like this music, we might not even hear this music, we might not attend the gathering, but I'm a juggalo. Like, I'm in solidarity with them. And I thought that would be a really cool thing to try to impart on audiences, not only for this film, but this is why this film was prototypical for us, because I was like, oh, if these films could be mirrors, we could expand people's circle of compassion, no matter what subject matter we go towards. Because if we can get people to watch this and feel as if they are a part of this Juggalo family, we could do that with almost anything. And that kind of gave me my prime directive for my career a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's definitely like a thread that became very clear, I think, all throughout your career too, I think in every film that you made afterwards. And it's a very important sense of mission too that everybody appreciates a lot too. And I think maybe picking up on that idea that you were talking about, like how these people kind of also integrate into these sub-communities and subcultures because of what America kind of does to them as well, and the behaviors that stem from that kind of repression and anxieties that kind of come from society. I want to go into a very clear example of this, I think, which is Oxyana. Obviously, I think it was the film that you made afterwards, right after American Juggalo. I don't know if there was something in between. But I think this is a film that really kind of that really lasered in on in this case on matters of addiction and et cetera to kind of illustrate that. So again, I'm going to run the trailer.
This went into the heart of darkness. This went into the heart of darkness. Absolutely.
Definitely. So maybe I'll just run the trailer again. People are saying that doubling is gone, by the way, on the audio. Let's see if it doesn't happen again after I run this, but let's see. Should be fine.
Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. That's one of my favorite passages in the Bible, and I thank him every night for letting me live another day.
It is this incredibly beautiful place with amazing people.
My dad was a coal miner, my mom, she's a nurse, so my childhood was great.
This is where everything I've ever had has been.
There's this darkness that has come over it.
I'm a dog on a chain, Birdhound's my name. No one cares nothing about a dirty old dog.
When Oxycontin hit the market, the whole game changed.
We'll have an overdose that probably leads to a death every day.
You know, half of my graduating class is dead because of pills, and I'm 23 years old.
People don't trust each other like they used to.
People are scared to let their kids walk down the street.
Right here is where drugs led me.
I've done horrible things for dope.
I hate it because of what it's doing to me and what it's doing to people around me.
For every person that you bust, 3 more pick it up.
It is incredible and amazing and awful all at the same time.
Just living in this area, it's everywhere.
It's an epidemic here.
If it wasn't for drugs in this town, there wouldn't be no town.
Neglected from the start, broke my poor heart, left here to die in someone's backyard.
Nobody's going to care, you know. This is West Virginia. I think we're all a bunch of inbred pieces of shit.
No one pays attention to a dirty old dog.
All right. So, Sean, I don't know if I hope we don't get doubling again. By the way, I hope everything is all right. If anything's wrong, guys, everybody in the chat, let us know. But Sean, can you tell us a bit about what was going on in Oxyana, West Virginia, when you arrived, when you passed by?
Yeah, Oceana, West Virginia is a very small coal mining town that was kind of left high and dry by the industry decades before we arrived there, and we kind of just stepped into the wake of it. And we pulled in there at night. I was hanging out with, like I said, I had made a film called Stray Dog about Johnny Fritz, and him and I were on the road together, and we were going from Virginia to Nashville or something. And he said, "Oh, let's stop in Oceana. I used to come here when I was a kid and ride four-wheelers. It's a good place to crash for the night, and we'll check it out." And we got there and immediately knew that there was something strange going on. We really couldn't tell quite what. But there was a dress store in town that had a line around the block. This is at 10 p.m. at night of people waiting outside a dress store. And we're like, what's going on here? And it turned out somebody was giving advances on tax returns in there. So we're like, oh, this must be a pretty desperate population that this is going on at 10 p.m. in the middle of the night, very strange. And we just went up to somebody and said, what's going on here? And his name was Jason, and he happened to be a Juggalo, and he happened to know the movie American Juggalo. And so he was like, oh, y'all made that? And we became instant best friends. And he started saying, if you want to know what this town's really all about, it's dope. It's so bad here, they call this place Oxyana. And I said, wow. And then 5 minutes later, he was shooting up in front of us. And I said, holy smokes, what is going on here? And then when we got up the next day, I could really see the place in the daylight, and I really picked up on this eeriness, and drove around for a couple days picking up hitchhikers and just getting their stories, taking them from point A to point B, and just hearing what this place was all about. And without cameras or anyone even knowing what I did, it felt like this desperate cry for help because of how open people were being with stuff that I think otherwise could be really shocking and embarrassing. But they knew us as outsiders, so they kept trying to reiterate how bad it was there. And I said, Oxyana is really, really powerful. Just that name is very powerful. And I said, I'll come back and we'll make a film about this. So I spent the summer of 2012 down there from June through September, and interviewed as many people in the town as would talk to us, which was a lot, and tried to focus on addicts and addiction and not point fingers or blame or have a tone of anger or hypocrisy. I think there's a lot of pitfalls that could have happened because a lot of these, it's a very emotional thing to try to make this and try to hold space for these people, and then the responsibility of carrying forth their message weighed heavily on me. So I wanted to make something like really raw and evocative that focused on what it's like to be an addict, what that really looks like. And that, again, like I did with the Juggalos, if you could see yourself in these people, even though you're maybe not struggling like that, everyone knows someone who is. So maybe that could have you looking at that person a little bit more empathically. So that was the goal with this one.
Mm-hmm. And what was the process of like getting to meet some of these people for the first time, and then all of a sudden, going to their home and seeing their daily lives, and sometimes shooting up and everything? Like, how does that line kind of work? Because I can imagine that it's you're getting into a deeply intimate setting, I guess.
Yeah.
That people don't usually.
Yeah, that was a big crew on that one because it was my first feature film, and I didn't know where we were, what we were doing, so it felt good for me to kind of have we had like a dozen people with us, and it felt good to have that because it was very eerie. It was just a very eerie place, especially with what I was digging around in. There's tons of good people that have nothing to do with any of this stuff there, who are just living good lives, but everyone's impacted by it, and it impacts you emotionally when you get there. So we had a pretty big crew. So I feel like when we arrived to people, it almost felt like family had shown up. And I was just getting this everyone was very welcoming and inviting. And once we got going, our reputation would precede us. So people would say, I talked to them, it felt really good, you should talk to them too. And everyone was just extremely welcoming and nice to us and forthcoming. And I feel like with these documentaries, you really get what you give. So you have to figure, if you're going to do it for a lifetime like me, like I'm trying to, is like you kind of got to figure out how to be a good person and how to have your auric field kind of resonate and vibrate at that, so people understand that you're trustworthy and that they will talk to you. Because a lot of times that you're seeing the entirety of my interactions with these people, or very near close to. There's some films where we spend tons of time with the people off camera, and then there's films like this where we just got to keep moving. And so I think it speaks to the crew and the vibes we were able to cultivate, that we were able to go into some of the darkest situations and bring some light, and that balance, I think, created like a really vibey film.
Mm-hmm. And what can you also? I think it's really about, as you said, like it's about building that kind of radical empathy with people in a way, really putting yourself in their shoes and understanding what they're going through, and kind of being very human in that regard, I think. And I wanted to also approach a specific question, which is why did you think that it was important to be so explicit as well with some of the content in the film? Like, and why did you want to show this reality in such a direct manner, like just straight up as well?
It's interesting. I get asked that question, but it's weird. Like I feel like I don't know any better. I don't know any better. It's like I didn't grow up. I grew up in a really, really tough situation with addiction and mayhem and just really some really, really, really tough, crazy, traumatic times. And no adult like ever tried to sugarcoat that for me and or sanitize that in any way. I think it made me who I am, and it made me see people in a different way. So I feel like if I could do the cinematic version of that, I think holding back would be a huge disservice to the audience who could get something really out of this. You know, I feel like that would be manipulative in the wrong way. I think if these people were brave enough to say, shoot up on camera in front of us, I'll figure out a way in the edit to contextualize that where it will hit you and you'll understand. And like I'm saying, I feel like that understanding is the thing that as humanity will bring us closer to harmonizing than I think our current circumstances are. So I feel like that's what artists can do, you know, is to make this world feel smaller and more connected and feel more at one with each other. So I feel like holding back, like it would be like repressing a shadow. It's going to just come out and haunt you, or it's going to be, you know, controlling the game without you even knowing it. So I wanted to get to the heart of the matter. And I think, unfortunately, you have to film and then show some really wild stuff. And we definitely didn't hold back in this one.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense also knowing that context from you as well. From background also, I think it makes sense. Hiding the shadow doesn't really serve anybody in a way. Super cool. I think for Oxyana, that's it from us as well. Or else we won't be able to make it through all the films that we want to talk about. We're just going to go through maybe 2 or 3 more. I want to move on to Cam Girlz. And then afterwards we can talk about the film that you did at the same time that you did Cam Girlz. But for now, maybe I'll just run a little bit of the trailer, and then maybe I'll skip by and we'll get going as well. So Cam Girlz 2015.
Can I tell you a secret? I liked the idea of everybody watching me.
You're gonna see some boobies.
I was nervous at first, but it's been more than I could have imagined.
Quiet. It's kind of like having a TV show. You're distant, but you're close to people at the same time.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell me, Sarah, tell me.
You're doing it in the setting of your own bedroom. It's very intimate. You're sharing personal details.
Tell me that you really love me.
There's no script.
It's fuzzy.
Why don't you tell me, Sarah, tell me.
I'm the person that's asking them how their day was. Part therapist, part sex object.
Tell me that you're praying for me.
Come here, give me a kiss. Was that the most awesome thing you've seen tonight?
I get excited about just being able to show someone an inviting, sexual, and funny time with a girl that otherwise they don't know how to approach.
Let's have a good time.
When you think cam girls, you think essentially just porn as it happens. But camming is very much the emotional connection, not necessarily just the physical.
Hi, nice to see you.
There's somebody for everybody's taste.
I think that the public discourse, I think, surrounding cam girls and OnlyFans and etc., I think has evolved a lot, I think, since 2015, since she did this movie. And in the past 10 years, it's something that's really kind of evolved and turned around many times as well. But I wanted to ask you, like, back in the day, back when you guys made this, why did you think it was important to make this documentary at the time? Like, why did you feel like it was pertinent?
It felt like the next logical step. It felt like we made a dark one in Oxyana, and then I was going to make a light one, but I still really wanted to kind of focus on this idea of like community and family and tribes of people that have kind of been banished to the fringes. And this was kind of like an up-and-coming like thing that was happening at the time. The technology had allowed for, streamers, camming people to a lot of people to be doing this. And we were just kind of fascinated by it and talked to a couple cam girls, Ayla, who I ended up making another film about called Sweet Nothing, and Sophia Locke, were early on people that we would talk to and realize like, oh wow, there's a rich community here. Like, let's tap into that, because at the time there was other documentaries coming out that were really judgmental of sex work and sex workers, and belittling to women who had made that choice for their life. And we said, this is kind of like low-hanging fruit. We can, like, any cam girl we ever met was so empowered by it. And it, like, contrary to the popular opinion about what this line of work might do to somebody. So we thought it was just a really fascinating thing that we could get into. Again, like maybe like, like shocking subject matter, but then the deeper you go into it, I think you can find a really rich tapestry of women who were learning from each other, not threatened by each other, supportive, building small businesses together, and doing it from the safety and comfort of their homes. I thought it was like a really kind of empowering message, especially at a time when porn and sex work were really, didn't have the best reputation. So I like to think this film had something to do with the beginning of the softening of that, the sanitizing of this kind of thing.
I think a lot of these women as well didn't really have much of a voice at the time as well, and this was kind of also beginning the process of actually asking them what they think, I guess, which I think is a very important exercise to do. Like, what do you think about what you do, in a way, instead of just kind of projecting stuff as well.
Yeah,
but did you kind of get that feedback from them, that they felt like doing the documentary was something that was gonna give them voice, or?
Yeah. I think at first there was like when you try to reach out individually, you're met with suspicion, because there's a lot of people like in a predatory way trying to figure out more about these women. So when they realized what like the films we had made, and like once they let us in, they really let us in, and I noticed that there was a difference in their voice, their on-cam persona and their off-cam persona. And I said, how am I going to differentiate between the two? So for that film, I remember saying, we're not doing any on-camera interviews. I'll do them audio only off-camera. And that way I can get people's real voices. So I would just sit with each one of these people for an hour in a very comfortable setting. I would talk really low. I would get them to talk I would get their, what I call their midnight voice. And, where they're kind of like, we don't want to wake anyone up. Because I thought that felt more authentic, and them not being on camera really brought out, I feel like, just a great aspect of things. And so then we had this like this one layer of a film that was this audio, and then we covered it with their lives and their on-camera personas, and I think it created a really interesting dichotomy.
Super cool. All right, I think another film that I wanted to talk about, which I think you mentioned the other day that you were producing at the same time, is Florida Man. I think a lot of people already know the film as well. I think this is also at the time when, the whole Florida Man meme was like all the rave at the time as well. I remember like people doing jokes about this all the time too. let's have a quick look at the trailer, then we'll get into it.
Here I am, up on a stage.
Why the hell are we here? Yeah, there's got to be something else. This is a test.
Too scared to shout it out, so I break the chain. I wish
I'm out here on the streets. I love the streets. You know who's listening to us? Jesus. Okay. I work remember right that. Remember that. That's how we do it when you're real in Florida.
I love to fight. I love to make people bleed.
You come here on vacation, you will go home on probation, and you will come back on violation.
This is real life. Life is good. Sorry for littering.
No matter who you are, what you do, love somebody. God bless America. Beautiful.
I don't know, man. Life is crazy, really. Just gotta put up with it.
I think you mentioned that this doc kind of appeared out of nowhere while you were making Cam Girls. And Cam Girls is interesting because it's a bit more, I mean, compared to how you've made your films, I mean, American Juggalo, you go into a specific event and you kind of just, you're shooting fish in a barrel, as you were saying. Cam Girls, you're kind of pursuing these women more directly. And then Florida Man is just kind of, this stuff just kind of appeared to you in a way. Can you tell us a bit about that too?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually part of what pushed us towards this, because we were shooting Cam Girls with our cinematographer, Isaac Bauman, who, look him up, he's gone on to incredible things. And Cam Girls, we were traveling a lot, like we'd go to a city and we'd shoot 10 different Cam Girls there, and it was like kind of like similar situations. So we felt we wanted to break out of the box, we wanted to break out of the bedroom a little bit. And we took mushrooms one night and stayed up all night. And I just remember being on my rooftop in Brooklyn at like 5 in the morning with the sun coming up, and me and Cass telling Isaac about this idea that we had for a movie called Florida Man. And he said, I'm in, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's not think too much about it. Let's just do it. So Cass booked us a 10-day trip around Florida, where we would just stay for like a night or two in different Airbnbs in different areas. And we were very decisive with our camera package. I think this is something I can really impart on people, like when you're doing this kind of thing. Isaac said, we're bringing one lens down there, and we brought an 18mm lens. It was super wide. We didn't have to mess with focus that much. We weren't bogged down with equipment or lens changes or anything. We just dialed in a look and said, this is what we're going for. It's gonna be loose. The microphone's gonna get in there. Mistakes are gonna happen. We're embracing of all of this because that is the essence of what Florida Man is. And I think it's always been important to me to, if I'm gonna take on a subject matter, to make something that is the subject matter, that's not about them, that just really vibrates at the same frequency. So I felt that decisiveness about our camera and the camera package, and here's where we're gonna stay, and we're gonna specifically go out basically from 4 to 6 p.m. and then like midnight to 3 a.m. and not overwork the crew, and just go out when the best light is happening and when the weirdest people are out. That's how we approached it, and having fun, really us having fun. And then you see our subjects having fun with us, because of this lens, we really had to get in there in order to get these close-up portraits that I was picturing getting. Like they're almost like living mug shots. And I wanted to get one of those from each person, but even that was like a bit invasive because you had to get so close to them to fill the frame. So we had this like kind of like playful thing going on where the camera is a character and people are reacting to it, the physical camera. And we just had so much fun. And I feel like people felt that and they opened up around us. And we were able to just, I feel like this is a film where it was really about vibes. It was really about trying to capture just this certain feel of what it's like to be there and to be one of these guys and the conversations you have and overhear when you slow down. And yeah, I'm super proud of it, but we were making this at the same time as Cam Girlz. We released them on the same day.
And it's a thing, like, I think both with Florida Man and also with Wild Magic that happens a little bit, which is you've got these vignettes of people in the street or in random locations that you kind of find them. And in Florida Man, the production is very, very bare bones. I don't know about Wild Magic, but like Florida Man is still a film that looks really great, like in terms of lighting, in terms of everything. Like, how do you kind of find these, just in these natural settings, organic settings, how do you find like a good place, a good lighting? Like what do you kind of look for? If you can, I don't know if maybe that's a bit vague, but
no, it's a great question because it's really weird. It's kind of like how I'll come up with the title and then the movie will come to me. It's very similar. We'll say like that's beautiful. Like we need to be under that pier at 5:30 today. I don't care who's there. We got to be there. And then like magic, the best people you've ever met are waiting there like they knew you were coming to film them. And that's the type like where I start to get into like the supernatural, superstitious part of what I do of like, who are these people and how come they keep appearing to me right at the perfect time? Like we just wanted to go film outside this laundromat. We thought it looked great. And there was this guy. And then, like we're like, oh, let's sit in this Denny's parking lot. And then we're like, wait, look, there's a little guy over there, like reading a Bible. Let's go up and say, like, well, let's get our wide shot first to see the environment we plucked him from, and then get in there on him and see if he has anything to say. And, a lot of times they don't, and that stuff doesn't make it in the movies. So you're seeing like, in this movie, like maybe a quarter or a fifth of what we went out and shot. But, these magical things happen when you put yourself at the right place at the right time and you're like really open. And this was a film where I wasn't really prodding people with questions. I didn't really have an agenda. I really just wanted to see what people would do. And that's another thing that a vibe that got set in motion. This I made 10 years ago now, that I'm still addicted to. Yeah. Less is more in terms of what I'm trying to do. I'm much more fascinated with what you start saying when I put a camera on you than all the things I can coax out of you. I've been doing this long enough. I know I could coax anything out of anyone. I want to know what people are like when they're in this situation. And I feel like this film is like a core sample of that thing that I was very obsessed with at the time and still continue to be, how people really are.
Super cool. And I also think it's an interesting attitude too, as well, to like film so much and then only use like a quarter of it, like you were saying, like you're just kind of rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. Do you do all of that in editing afterwards? Do you like sit down and then kind of have a look at everything, or are you already kind of thinking about what you're going to be eliminating?
I mean, I know like I'm editing as we go, but like when I get back to I've been working with the same editor for 20 years, Kathy Gatto. And so like I have very strong feelings going into the edit about what will work and what won't work. But then I go into the edit and I'm very open to, I almost don't tell her any of my preferences because I want to see how this is impacting someone that wasn't there and doesn't have all the romantic notions about what we shot and how and all that stuff. See what she reacts to. And a lot of times it's the same, we have the same instincts when it comes to that. And, like the truth is, compared to most documentarians, I don't shoot a lot. We don't ever have a 10 or 12 hour day. We're not the people that are like, oh, 2,000 hours of footage or even 500. Like it's not that kind of thing. We don't bite off more than we could chew as indie filmmakers. I don't bombard my editor with too much footage. It's usually a project like we edited Florida Man in 4 days. And we didn't want to overthink it. Once it worked, and we just put it out on the internet. And I think that's what's cool about where we're at nowadays with technology. And I suggest more people think like that. Don't get caught up in like trying to show off to some film festival or whatever, or try to get the industry's attention. Put your stuff out there. You know, this film changed my life. So did American Juggalo, by just putting it out for free and people being like, oh, I see his style. He's developing a voice. I want to see what else he's doing. So, and a lot of that comes from the edit and just knowing, I like my relationship with Kathy, and we've done this for so long together, and we were doing it at History Channel together. So we learned so many different ways of depicting things. And we really, really wanted to get this specific vibration across that we got in Florida Man.
Super cool. I think it makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, I think we can at the end as well, we can get a little bit more into that as well if we have any time, like the crowdfunding aspect of it, like how you have to kind of limit yourself to the devices that you have, and then like that'll add it to that crowdfunding and etc. kind of allows you as well, which is to like, you know, screw the industry, screw the festivals. I just want to put out what I want to put out. But I want to maybe, going into the last part here of the talk, I want to talk about your latest film, Wild Magic, as well, that you guys kind of released this year. I'm going to run the trailer again as well, and then we can get into it.
What really is magic? What's sacred space? And what does it mean to be blessed?
Glittering light surrounded our sight.
Snumcula, Erigwithidon, Pembulon, Nimno Aguarctate.
Dark wants to take us, but light wants to take us too.
Pay attention to the subtleties of spirit. Like butterfly wings just barely touching your cheek. Poof.
You're not the self, and yet you have a myriad of selves.
Eternity! I do some wrong. Police follow me. I don't follow police. Police scare me.
You can really bring in your dreams and start living them.
When the veil is removed, you realize how perfect everything is.
Huh?
Thank you for being into craziness.
That's what's up. Boom.
For real, no, for real.
Right, cool. I want to remind everybody as well to, like, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat too. So Sean, I think this is probably one of the films that felt like you guys were getting more and more involved into the community that you're kind of portraying as well. And what I also think about that is really interesting about Wild Magic is that there's this empathy, and you're kind of getting really involved with this community as well, and kind of also really hearing out what kind of they have to say and how they deal with things. But at the same time, it's also very clear in the way that people also kind of resort to spirituality because they've got a bunch of economic, social, and political anxieties as well. And I think that the film also makes that very clear. Can you tell us a bit about like the making of this film and what your mission with it kind of was?
Well, another one where the title kind of came to me long before we had the opportunity to make it or even knew what it was. So we were throwing around the title Wild Magic for a while. Our friends at Rustic Films, Justin and Aaron, who are some big time directors, they make beautiful indie sci-fi films, and they also do stuff for Marvel. They came to us after seeing Florida Man, and they were like, we want to fund something you do. And we said, we have Wild Magic. And they said, go for it. And so it was one where we didn't have a big budget, and we wanted to film as much as possible. We wanted to cover all of America, traveling around, which gets very expensive. So it basically came down to me and Cass are gonna have to make this movie on our own. It was the first time in 20 years I ever touched equipment. I was doing sound, Cass did the camera. And I think it allowed for us to really find the wild magic, not the stuff that's easy to find but find the wild magic that's out there. Because it was there's a version of all this that, and we shot a lot of this where we would go towards, the self-anointed and the gurus and the priests and, but it was always on the way to go interview those people that we'd meet a guy at the gas station and say, that's what's up. That's the person. That's the people I want to depict. So, yeah, that's it. It really, this is a film that made us more than we made it. We just kept going out on the road. And every day we would get up and take LSD and then go out into what I call the territory and just post up and see who would want to talk to us. Some days we'd come back with 5 new people that ended up in the film, and some days it would be nothing. And we would just get B-roll at magic hour. So it was just, it was a real process of practicing our craft out in the wild, trusting ourselves, trusting that this film was coming together, even if it at times wasn't as exciting or obvious as some of our other ones. And we got back to the edit, and I felt like what I was doing was creating like a spiritual roadmap, a blueprint for how people are starting to learn to live in the face of what America does to you, and connecting all these disparate points of light and kind of leaving it vague enough that you can draw meaning and imbue meaning onto what these people are saying.
I think it's fascinating again to hear like how much by chance it kind of happened as well. And
you wouldn't believe it if I started getting into the individuals that you're even showing on screen right now, how we met them. You wouldn't believe it.
Are there is there maybe 1 or 2 that you want to single out? Not all of them, because we probably don't have time, but like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this guy in the top center here is perfect. We were, he works at a Marathon gas station in West Virginia, and we were there fueling up to go up to this place called like the Golden Palace or whatever. And we were going to go try to talk to, I don't even remember, some Hare Krishna guy or whatever that we never ended up seeing. But like, we were in a rush to get up there, and we're filling up the tank and getting ready. And Cass went inside and came out, and she was like, the guy in there is a character. He's down for us to film him. And we just went in and got it. And we came out and we're like, this is what the film is, And then like, this guy on the right in the middle down here, this guy playing guitar. We were in New Orleans, and we're like, let's go over to Bourbon Street against our better judgment, and maybe we'll get some B-roll on Bourbon Street. And we pulled up, and we're parallel parking. We got out of the car, and he was standing. Our car's right there. He was just standing right there. And we were like, hey, do you mind if we talk to you? It was just, the light was perfect. And then he hit us with something that I was like, we were meant to meet each other. I need to amplify your message because you're reflective of what a lot of guys are going through drifting around this country. And, it's just a very powerful message. So we didn't know why we were on Bourbon Street. Then you open your car door, and there's a guy, an angel, standing right there. You say, let's film. That's what this film is made up of. Hundreds of them were filmed, and then the film consists of like maybe 50 or 70, or I don't know. But there's a vibration that I feel like that's what this film was about. There's a vibration that's very powerful that's been going on through this country for a long time, and it withstands different administrations and economic ups and downs and all of that stuff, news cycles, whatever. It cuts right through it all. So I wanted to put together a group of people that I felt exemplified that, and a film that could stand the test of time, that is of its time, but 20 years from now you watch it and you said, I could still glean a lot of meaning from what these people are putting down.
Super cool. I think it's also, it feels like a culmination as well. There's something more general I want to ask you that comes outside of wild magic. And I think maybe also to wrap up, because I think we're also running out of time. What did you kind of learn about America, like throughout all of these years of making these documentaries? Like what has kind of been these overarching things that you've learned from making all these microcosms of this society?
I think it's not as bad as people might think. Yeah, there's tons of darkness here, but there's really people that are trying at least to survive and thrive. And I feel like there's a bit of an unbreakable spirit here that's very soulful, and it's very real. And I think we can learn from a lot of the people that I've depicted in my films or have had the pleasure to kind of capture and amplify. I think we can learn a lot from them because I think they're teaching us something about life that I don't think gets imparted on you through work or education or news media or those kind of things. I think there's like a soulful richness that I can't quite put my finger on, but through these little mosaic, I'm trying to build a mosaic of America through these films. And I'm starting to see a clearer picture, but each one really kind of helps me get there a little bit more. And trust me, I go out there and I get disturbed, but I usually go out there and get super inspired. I really do. Because people are really graceful, and I'm in awe of it. And I want to be more graceful and patient and a better listener. And so when I've gone out there with those intentions, the universe has rewarded me with like the most beautiful people I could possibly ever imagine. And they appear on camera with me, and we have a good time. And then other people get to quote them and pass them around, and it's really fun, and it's my spiritual practice. It's taught me how to be a part of my environment in a better way. It's taught me how to see people differently. It's taught me how to not write people off, because everyone contains multitudes and there's good stuff in there. And I want to keep doing it, and I want to keep learning more, and I want to keep chasing and serving these muses. And a part of the way that I think I can do this and other independent voices could do that is by creating and cultivating an audience for your work and figuring out how to get that audience to fund your work, as opposed to like an industry middleman that really is not there and is never going to come, and they're not going to save the day. So waiting around doesn't help. And I need to be out in the field. I need to be shooting. And if I had waited for somebody to come and give me permission to do that and give me the money to do it, it just wasn't ever going to happen. So yeah, we went broke making Florida Man. We went broke making multiple of our movies, not even realizing, just pouring the rest of our money into something and being like, oh my God, what did we just do? All right, well, whatever. And we've been rewarded for that, I think, that risk taking. So I think more artists need to do that, and more artists need to figure out how to honor their voice, because by honoring my voice, I'm learning more about who I am and the country I come from and how to survive this place. Like, this is for me more than anyone. I need to figure out how to survive this place. So that's what these movies are for me. And Wild Magic feels like I took all the movies and put them in a blender, and it's like, cool.
Yeah, definitely. Super cool. Sean, thank you so much. There's a quote that somebody left here in the chat as well, which I think is quite essential for documentary filmmaking as well. I think it's from Herzog too. And Void Denizen reminded us that the poet must not avert his gaze, he must look at the beautiful as well as the ugly. And I think that was said by Werner Herzog. And I think that's a good way to also, thank you so much for your advice as well for young filmmakers too everywhere. Thank you for telling us also what you've kind of learned throughout these years. And I think we'll wrap it up with that. I think so. I think that was already like such a great collection of thoughts that we got from you, and we want to thank you again for taking this hour to join us and tell us a bit more about your practice and your films too, Sean. So.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And if you dig what our vibe is, we also have a weekly podcast called Very Ape, and that's all on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/veryape. Our films are all free there. Our podcast is on there, and we have a Patreon where we do tons of beautiful things, and we have a Discord community, and that's patreon.com/churchofchill. Really appreciate, that's the best way to support us right now so we can keep making these films.
Make sure to support Sean as well. I just want to also remind everybody before the final goodbye, we've got 2 more talks on tomorrow and also on Wednesday. The next one is going to be with Peter Mack. It's going to happen here in our office live, but also online. And then the next one is going to be with our team as well, talking a bit about our work with music festivals too. All of them at 6:30. Make sure to check out academy.180.pt, academy.180.pt for more info and also for signing up. But yeah, Sean, thank you so much once again, and we'll see you around maybe.
Thank you. Peace, love, and magic.
Thank you everybody for coming as well. All right.